Pyramid Intel. So last night was the full moon, and I didn't post because information was flying through my head so quickly. I thought, well, I'll just wait until it settles down and, one topic enters my head, and then I can focus on that and turn on the camera. And that didn't happen. Today I was thinking about it, and I realized how controlling that is. I wanted my channeling to be done in a certain way, and it's completely opposite of what the entire channeling process is about. So this is likely going to be just practical tips on the Ascension journey for light rays. And surrender is one of the most important things that you can do for your Ascension process. It was the hardest thing, apparently it still is, for me to do on my journey, and the most rewarding by far. So when I say surrender, it doesn't mean that you just stop taking action, or acting on your impulses or anything like that. That's not what surrender means. Surrender means it means not controlling. Like I was just saying, instead of feeling all the information coming through and saying it's time to put the camera out because I have information to share, it was having to have the information flow look a certain way before I could take action, or before I could, start speaking. So surrender would be just the information is coming, you feel inspired to turn on the camera, and you just turn the camera on. I'm not trying to pre-think it. I'm not trying to compare it to anything I've done in the past. I'm just going with it. Whenever I have been able to do that, whether it's channeling or whether I'm walking around filming something for a video, when I just stay in the flow, magical things happen. I find I'm in the right place at the right time. On some of the military ceremonies, there was one day in particular I remember being completely in the flow, and I had no idea what was coming next, who was around me, what was going on, but I was in this flow, and I allowed myself to turn and flow without thinking, without trying to control it, and I ended up exactly in the right place at the right time to get the most magical shots. So that is how everything will be for you throughout your day if you can stay in the flow and trust to do that. It's really difficult to explain how to get there, but you're there because you'll see the synchronicities and the ease with which you move with throughout your day, and how things will align for you. Also, while in this state, I realized how we are not used to operating in that space at all, at least not for any amount of time. I have seen friends of mine that are great artists that will go into that free-flowing spot, and it's the same thing. They're just talking and just la 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 with their arm outstretched, looks like they're barely even looking at it, and they're talking and doing other things, and they're creating a masterpiece, and it's just so much easier, that kind of state. And I mentioned this in one of my other videos. I realized that I don't normally operate in that place because everything seems like a weight is on you. Like, I want to do this. It's going to be, I have this idea, this feeling of weight whenever I think about doing that, whether it's something I have to do or something that I want to do. And that's an energetic block. It's a block. And the blocks are all caused by programs, because it's not natural for your electricity to be pinched off. That's something you've learned or something that's been programmed into you somehow, and it doesn't have to be there. And you can literally pop it out on demand. Now, is it that easy? Yeah. But it usually takes a lot of clearing work and, digging through your psyche and stuff like that to even realize what they are and how to find them, what they feel like. But if you've already done a lot of work and you've already moved in and out of these spaces and what I'm saying makes sense and everything, it may be a lot easier. You can literally pop in and out at will, because I believe we're going to be fluctuating a lot. I see that my friends are moving in and out of spaces. Suppose there's 6-10 steps to an ascension process. I have found, looking at the list, that I sort of move in and out of them. Perhaps I've gone through the list and I'm feeling good, and then before you know it, I'm recycling back through the list again, because you're not stagnant, and we are kind of on an upward journey. You can certainly stop whenever you like, but my intention is to continue on and continue on and continue on, and so you will constantly find yourself cycling through the process, and that's normal, right? That's normal. It's like continuing to learn new things all the time. So if that's happening to you, don't be discouraged. In fact, the only time I would feel discouraged, knowing what I know now, is if I did not have, changes and challenges, because then I'm not moving. I'm stagnant, and, energy should never be sitting still. You literally will stagnate and age, and it's not good. It's not good. It's not the natural, normal, healthy way of being. So I wanted to point that out. And I wanted to point this out. As we move into a new frequency band, and as you have DNA activations, and as parts of your thought processes start to change, and you may have new skills and new visions and things appearing in your head, I want to tell you what it may look like, what things have looked like for me, so that if you start having an experience like this, you won't interpret it in a negative way. So, different frequency band, which means, your brain's going to be acting different, perceiving things differently, may not look the way that you think it will. In fact, nothing ever looks or feels or is, in my experience, the way I imagine it to be. It may be better, it may be worse, but it's never exactly what I think it'll be. So, and when you're talking about something like this, and no one really has any idea what to expect, we have pre-programmed 3D ideas of how and what it's going to look like. It can be perceived as negative or even as a disappointment. And so that's what I want to touch on now, because I don't think there's a lot of information out there in this way. May be helpful. All right. So if you can think of the one alternate reality, altered state of being that you know of, and that's your dream state. Well, if you think about your dream states, what they looked like, even though you may be doing normal activities, or what appear to be fairly normal activities that you would be doing here, depending on how vividly you can recall everything in your dream, they usually did not look anything like this actual reality. While some things in it may be the same, and your activities may be the same, if you think about it, the lighting and the background and the buildings and maybe the plants, the coloring, the lighting, all of that can look really weird, really bizarre. It usually is like that because of all the reasons I was just saying. It's not the same space at all. So when I began to have new visions on this new frequency band, because I do have visual information that comes to me. I'm not going to talk a lot about it at this point because it's not in my best interest to do so, but I will later talk much more about how I get my information. People are actively trying to find out how I get my information now, and so I'm not going to elaborate. But I do see at times, and I was seeing things that looked dark, that could be interpreted that way from a 3D perspective, and I didn't know why or what it meant. I really didn't know what to think, but I had a negative impression because it appeared dark, like darkness, something underground, or perhaps in some other place in space, or another planet, just something I could not recognize. I could not recognize it. That's the best way to describe it. And the lighting was not particularly bright, so I thought the worst. But that's why I'm talking about this now. I have come to realize that it was simply a different dimension, a different frequency band, and that I was perceiving it that way because I was comparing it to this, and it's like apples and oranges. So really, that's all I wanted to say about that, is if you are perceiving something and you don't know what it is and it looks unfamiliar and it looks dark, to not necessarily jump to conclusions. Just observe and get the information from a very neutral place, because you can always go back and examine it later. I would ask you, is there anything that you are experiencing? How does it feel would be more important. How does it feel? Because energy never lies. And whatever information that you're getting, if you cannot label it, when you label it, then you might start feeling something that's attached to the label that you put on it. So if possible, when you get information, don't label it at all. Let it free flow through you. Let the information just come and see what that feels like. That would be a better way. And if it continues to come and appear in a way that's a little odd, that you might normally interpret as being something negative, but yet there's nothing negative occurring in any way, it's just a label that you may have attached to it, then there's your answer. So this is why I'm always talking about we have to rely less on what we're seeing and comparing it to our files, our pre-existing files, because you can misinterpret. And because of the level of technology and lies and projections that we've all been experiencing and will continue to experience moving forward, your feeling, which is your filter for the energy, will give you the truth where your other senses will fail you. Right? So I always try to do that, certainly from this point moving forward. And as you open up more and more, you will see more and more deceptions, more and more lies. And if you practice, excuse me, if you practice going with your gut feeling, your intuition, your chakra system, oh my God, sorry. If you exercise your human lie detector, which you've always had, and that you still use, but you only notice it when it's punching you. You feel it when you're scared, you feel it when you're super excited or super nervous. When there's an extreme emotion, you're aware of it, but it's always there with you. It's always there with you. And all you have to do is choose every day to pay attention to it at all times, and test it out. When you're paying attention to it, I would recommend this. Don't wait until you're in dire circumstances to try it out, because you won't have confidence. Try it out in all circumstances, especially ones when you're pretty sure of already what the answer is going to be. When you're around people that you feel very confident that you love and trust and everything, start feeling it. Start seeing what it feels like. When there's someone that you don't like and trust, examine it, see what that feels like, so that when you are in uncertain circumstances and you need to make an accurate decision, an accurate reading, you will recognize it. It's like anything else, it's a muscle, you have to use it. Okay? So that's going to be it for tonight. I don't want to go on too long. I hope you're having a great week. Hope you're having a great full moon process. Remember, you have full moon effects for 3 days. We are 1 day after right now. So, well, no, it's not true. We've gone into the second day now. So I hope you're enjoying it. And the full moons, in case you don't know, are always a great time to look at where you are, at what went well, at what didn't go so well, and make adjustments. It's a time for reflection. It's a great time to, full moon, the light is shining. Look at everything that you've been doing. I look at 30-day cycles, Instead of waiting till the end of the year, like most people do, to do an evaluation on the full moon, you can do it monthly, and you can assess what went well, what didn't go well, and what you'd like to change when the new moon comes around. If you work with these cycles, you have this whole energetic surge with you that makes it so much better. You know, back in the old days, our ancestors always worked with the natural growth cycles that are occurring on the planet, and we've gotten away from it. But the power elite, they never stopped working with the natural energetics of the planet and of this entire solar system. And that's something that we will all be doing in the future, because all of the pyramids, all of the ancient technologies, you know, the geometric forms that clearly they were very enlightened about when they built those, and they are, you know, aligned with the astrological events and whatnot. Yeah, they matter, and they're very powerful. And we are all going to empower ourselves from this point forward, paying attention to all these things, or at the very least examining them and then deciding for yourself if you think they're worthy or not. Okay, so have a great night. I'll talk to you later.